relax, cool out. Yeah.
What is this that I found in your bedroom?
Hello, Ma. It is a lamp, and this is where you turn it on now.
The bar. A friend we read is a friend indeed.
But now I'm dying to try it.
What were the main reasons you guys never tried marijuana?
Well, the reason I never tried is because it was taboo, and the environment I was in was sort of a church environment, so we were never around it. It was never around us.
Never had the urge to. Even though my friends were smoking and sniffing glue, paint, I just never had the urge to not even drink. I was just a happy-go-lucky guy all the time.
It's always been a negative thing in my mind, and I've never really wanted to jump off that particular bridge.
There's a lighter.
Huh. Paraphernalia. That's what they call it.
I would love for you guys to try the bong first.
What's this here? Mm-hmm. I'm more used to cigarettes, man. I try one of these things. Man.
Wow, it smells like a dead skunk, doesn't it?
Nasty.
This is weird.
Shit.
You put your lips inside of this?
Yeah, and you seal it.
It's like a porno thing.
Whoa. You's a smoker, man.
There's some smoke in there still, if you want to puff on it.
I don't even like this stuff, man, is what I'm saying. Got a cough to get high? Shit. Crazy. This is crazy, man.
This is being sponsored by Luden's Cough Drops, right?
What's going on?
You want to come on over, have a seat with your friends?
What is everybody doing here?
We've all just been talking, Tally, and what I'm hearing is a bunch of people here who just love the heck out of you.
Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the Weird History channel. All right, kids, let's take a non-hallucinogenic trip back to the 80s. Some of the earliest studies of DARE's effectiveness exposed DARE as being a pretty useless program for keeping teenagers off of drugs and alcohol. It seemed DARE's zero-chill educational approach to keeping these curious, hormonal, rebellious little hooligans off of drugs was not working, and in fact was having the opposite intended effect. Turns out, teenagers are less of a learn by riveting PowerPoint presentation and more of a do it and see if we die kind of learners. They might have been taught to say, just say no, but they were way more likely to say, ah, yes, to a bag full of those items they learned about in school if they completed the DARE program than those who didn't. If only DARE had listened to its dad who told them this would happen.
Who taught you how to do this stuff?
SMART, the program that inspired and birthed DARE, also failed in its earlier days, suffering from the same arrogant idea that students would blindly listen to an authority having never seen a John Hughes film or seemingly met a teenager.
Look, you're like a fish in a bowl or something. Everybody's watching.
On the count of three, we all swim up to the glass and make faces at them.
And turn the lights around on them.
Try it.
No, man.
Just take a light one.
I'm done. I drank a lot, and this has no comparison.
I think I'd rather do this than drink.
Cough the rest of your life?
Well, at least I know I could drive.
I've heard like 1,000 different terms for it. There's the trees, there's the dank, there's the bud, skunk, gas, the loud.
Ganja, herb, skunk, swag, jerry, green, fire, smoke, some sticky or some perps.
We got rosin, we got resin, tinctures, sublinguals, sprays, salves, roll-ons. There's a lot of names out there for a lot of the same things.
And it all depends on where you come from. Like Midwesterns will say fire. New Yorkers will say gas.
Trees and bud, we would use that a lot in New York.
Being from Florida, regs. A lot of people don't know the word regs. It's like Reggie or it's an East Coast thing, I assume. Regs, it's shitty weed.
Mota is one of my favorites. I went to an all-Hispanic high school, so they always go, tienes mota pelirroja.
Kush, regardless of its strain.
Some people assume that all flowers Pineapple Express. I guess people smoke the strain and then hear the name and then they think the strain is how it's referred to overall.
Sour diesel is huge on the East Coast, so pretty much everything is sour diesel.
Can I get the good stuff? Can I get the good? I'm like, the good? And they're like, oh, I want the good. I'm like, so what kind of good do you want? I want the best good. I'm like, you want the Kush good? They'd be like, yeah. I'm like, well, we have OG. And they're like, oh, yeah, I want that.
People come in asking for Thai sticks all the time, which hasn't been a thing for a while, so I don't know where they're getting their information from.
You come in asking for pot, you're a cop.
Pot is probably the older generation.
Dank is adorable to hear out of the mouth of an old person. You gotta go there, the stuff is so dank. You gotta get some of that dank, and then they come in, they're like, I'm looking for the dank. You're like, I got you.
A lot of the people that smoked back in the day will be like, what's like a dime bag gonna be?
My stepfather was an old timer, and I used to grab him some back in the day, and I would have to get a 4-finger bag or a lid. Customers get really excited when I know what those are.
Grass? Hey, what kind of grass you got here?
One of my favorite terms for cannabis in general is jazz cabbage, is something that somebody came in and said to me once, and I was like, well, that's gonna stick with me forever.
Yo, can I get some jazz cabbage? That sounds kind of lit, jazz cabbage.
I've never heard jazz cabbage, actually. I'm so mentioned that now. That sounds great.
My dad calls it dope.
I'm sick of my dad calling it dope. He's like, yeah, you smoking the dope? And I'm like, no, man, I'm not. I'm not smoking the damn dope.
You know, it's so hard for me to use dope because I lived in Arizona for a while, and dope there means meth.
For my generation, like, that's heroin, you're gonna have to go in the alley, you know what I mean? Like, we don't sell dope here, we sell medicinal cannabis.
Doobie's a popular one with the parents.
My dad also calls every kind of smoking, whether it's in a bong, a pipe, or anything like that, he calls it a doobie.
Although if you do describe it as a doobie, you are cool. Like, you have been places, you've seen stuff.
Marijuana, that's the thing my mom would say. She'd be like, Madiga, tu fumas marijuana. You know, it's like, Mom, don't say that.
People still say, hey, can I get that dime sack? Can I get some marijuana?
Marijuana. I would like to purchase some marijuana.
Oh, my daughter just gave me a hit of that spliff the other day. It was so good.
Cannabis is the one that we probably hear the most, which is cool just because it's the scientific name. That's the name that we like to use.
Cannabis to me, although it's mainstream, has a little hint of pretentiousness behind it. I just like weed.
You're not the Tal you used to be. Whereas you used to be fluffy and absorbent, you now are crusty and unable to absorb the smallest amount of water. Will you get help today?
I don't get this.
See if you can figure that.
Looks space age. It's good. If it opens on either end, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of figuring. Push this end and it buzzed to, oh.
There you go.
Oh, it's changing colors. Was it a flashlight?
Changed color.
Mm.
So that's a Pax vaporizer.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I definitely feel a little bit different after inhaling that thing there.
Smoking blunts till I pass out. Yeah, nigga, getting ass out. Rolling in my niggas' glass out. Driving fast, talking to bitches, whipping cash out. I'm with my niggas, fucking suckers. I'm bucking bumpers, smoking chronic motherfuckers causing ruckus. It's the last of the drink, pull over. Can't hear a damn thing sober. High till I die.
With a few amusing catchphrases to a dried out spooge rag covered in the jizz of 1,000 older men.
Can we just end this, please?
You have to let him finish, Tally.
If you do not accept treatment, I will no longer give you money or be your friend. I will not help you kill yourself.
We'll be eating cannabis. Today's episode, we're gonna make some cookies. One of my favorite things to infuse with cannabis. I'm gonna show you how to properly dose, properly infuse, and how to execute these cookies.
Never have I ever had a golden shower.
I don't even know what that is.
The golden shower is when you stretch yourself out and somebody stands over and pees on you.
Yeah, well, like a
And that's
water
supposed to
shower.
be fun for some people.
Yeah, well, not me.
Intranasally, you take them anally.
What the fuck are you talking about now?
Well, instead of down the hatch or up the nose, take them in the pooper.
Will you put drugs up your pooper?
Oh, that's the fastest way to absorb them into your systems.
Do you mean like you take the drugs with your hand? Well, then you put them up your pooper?
Correct.
But you don't poop them out.
No, your pooper absorbs them.
Wasn't that curious?
A close call caught on camera.
Do me a favor, just put your hands behind your back here for a second, okay?
Greendale police body cam footage shows officers putting handcuffs on a man and a woman in a Southridge Mall parking lot last weekend. Police say Andre Skeets shoplifted more than $900 worth of items from Kohl's, and they were in a stolen car. But it's what police found in this purse that's alarming.
Just a heads up with a purse, bunch of white puff stuff flying out. I don't know what it is, but it's got me all sniffly.
The officer started to show symptoms associated with exposure to fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that's becoming a major safety concern for first responders everywhere.
You did not get exposed to fentanyl, did you?
Again, for the second time.
A second officer approached the woman in handcuffs.
Is there anything in your purse we should be worried about for officer safety?
It's not my purse. Whose purse is it? I don't know.
But she insisted it's not her purse.
I'm being dead serious. I've been exposed to heroin and fentanyl once. I don't want to get exposed again.
Back at the police station, another officer also showed symptoms of fentanyl exposure after touching the same purse. Both officers were given Narcan and rushed to the hospital. A Greendale police sergeant tells me both officers are doing okay and they have already returned to work. In Greendale, Eden Shekel, WISN 12 News.
Police say the synthetic drug has been sent to a crime lab to be tested. Andre Skeets has been charged with retail theft and bail jumping.
The Jews have been persecuted across the earth for good reason, Cal. You are a race of beady-eyed thieves who always want...
This is serious, you fucking asshole!
I'm being serious, Cal! Hello?
Kyle, we have to let people be allowed to finish during interventions.
But he's just using his time on television to rant
Kyle,
about...
please! It is not your turn.
I feel like I felt... Oh, well, never mind what the hell I was going to say.
Talk to me, my friend. Shoot, you got the flow.
Yeah, just start. It'll flow.
Oh, what the hell was I going to say? My mouth feels like a mouth of peanut butter.
Where exactly did the Jews first get their power, and how are they able to manipulate our minds today?
Oh my God!
Institute that said the program was occupying space and hoarding funding from other programs that actually had value and, worked. The NIJ never published the findings that DARE was a dud, so the charade continued in schools across the nation. Meanwhile, our fragile youths were being corrupted by the temptation created by the very thing meant to keep them on the straight and narrow, the temptation of knowledge. As mentioned, DARE was so bad at keeping teens drug-free, it accidentally turned them into little Jim Morrisons thanks to a fun social psychology phenomenon known as the boomerang effect. Basically, by telling somebody they shouldn't do something because they might die, it makes the person morbidly curious to test that theory. Cheating death? Sounds fun. Couple that with teenagers' very loose grasp on how fragile life is, and well, you're gonna tempt dumb kids to do some experimenting.
He said, "Have you ever tried medical marijuana?" I said, "Doc, I've never even tried unmedical marijuana." I said, "I'm not going to jail because I can't sleep." He goes, No, you're not going to go to jail. He said, "Here in California, for medical reasons, it's legal." He said, "I'm going to write you this card, and I want you to take it to the dispensary down the road." I said, "What's a dispensary?" He goes, "It's like a drugstore." So I'm thinking, all right, it's like a Walgreens or a CVS, People in lab coats with name tags. No, it's a pot store. I walk in this store, and there's 5 white guys with dreadlocks that want to hug me.
66% total THC. That means that infused will have about 660 milligrams of THC. We're gonna make about 3 dozen cookies. And if we want each one to sit at about 10 grams, which is recommended dosage, 10 milligrams, which is recommended dosage, we're gonna need about 54% of that. 54% of it would be 0.54 milligrams. We like to put a little bit extra, 0.65, 0.67 in that area. That way, you know there's gonna be a little bit of waste. So after they're totally infused, with waste being considered, adding an extra, around 100 milligrams to the batch due to waste of the cannabis oils sticking to the sides of the bowl. The cannabis oil that doesn't get used up in the cookies should be around 10 milligrams per serving.
Big news.
You guys believe in this afterlife?
Yeah, you go underground 6 feet deep. That's what I believe.
I believe that you have a soul.
Graham, how about you?
I don't think I heard anything you said.
I walk in, I looked around, went, oh, hell no. And I turned to leave, and as I turned to leave, I hear this voice from behind me go, well, hello, my friend. And I turn around, and there's this kid, and he goes, my name is Peace. I said, well, Peace, I think I'm in the wrong place. And he goes, well, what brought you here? And I go, well, my doctor, he said. He goes, oh, so now you're smarter than your doctor. What? He goes, well, your doctor sent you here, but apparently on the way over, you found a cure for whatever it was, so AKA, you're smarter than your doctor. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm being run circles around by a pothead. I should be quicker than this. And I go, well, he gave me this card, and he goes, oh, it's the key to the kingdom.
We don't know how long the sun's gonna last. I mean, it's a fireball. How long is that thing gonna stay like it is? Is it real? I don't know, it feels real, but I can't reach out and touch it.
Go ahead and start prepping out our dry materials. We're gonna start with 2 3/4 cup of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to whisk the dry mix until it's fully incorporated.
I know I can remember if I get high.
Oh, God damn it. All right, fine. Here's your stupid lighter.
Hold on. Wait a second. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, that's the melody to Funky Town. Won't you take me down to Funky Town?
No, tally the entry code.
Ooh, that bud's so scandalous. You hit it too hard, you can't handle this. So you're smoking that thing, then you pass it to us with that look in your eyes so devious. You inhale with all you got. Suck it down hard till you're seeing dots. And your body's on the ground, but your mind is not. Cause you live in la vida smoker.
Y'all see me do it once before with 8 grams. Now I'm gonna do it once again with 10. Cheers and much love, y'all. Let's go. 10 grams, under 5 minutes.
I don't want to lift my head, I don't even want to lift my eyebrows.
Everything feels a little different. You know, like you're used to wearing loose clothes and all of a sudden somebody wraps you in duct tape or something, you know, your skin would feel different. That's kind of how I feel like my brain is probably about 3 sizes bigger than my skull.
Do you guys think it should be legal?
I think it should be legal. It should never been illegal, is what I'm saying. Isn't that right, Graham? Huh? Isn't that right, my friend? Yeah.
I am so relaxed.
Dare might have been saying doing lines of cocaine can cause your heart to stop beating, but all those rebellious teens heard was, "That'll show, Dad."
Who taught you how to do this stuff?
They did have a lion mascot named Darren, and pretty sure Smart didn't, so, you know, they knew what kids liked.
Cindy Cinnamon, I'm in the Ben & Jerry's a pot. And he pulls this jar off the wall, and all I saw was the name Comatose. And he takes them out and puts it in a scale, weighs it, puts that in a bag and staples it shut, and he goes, "Now you go home and enjoy." I had parked my car 50 feet from this pot store. This was me walking back to my car with this bag of marijuana.
Now you high as a kite, been talking all night, all night long. Let me hit that bong, baby. That bong, 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 bong.
Record. If you just add the dry mix into the wet mix and continue to stir, you'll get this dough, which needs to chill in the freezer or the fridge until it gets more easy to work with. And then at that point, we'll show you how to ball up the dough. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and start to roll up the little balls. By the way, it seriously helps to have one of these little sill pats. You can put them on a half sheet pan, full sheet pan, whichever size you choose. They're just handy little tools to make sure that you're doing the right consistent product.
Okay, let's see. Toke as needed. Caution, objects may appear more edible than they actually are.
Parents loved Dare. It was nice. It had good intentions. There were police involved. It got to talk to your kids about drugs, so you didn't have to. There was a little mascot. What's not to love? Who cares if it was a giant waste of time and money?
See, I could hear everything in here, but I'm like too tired to move.
That's called being stoned.
Yeah, well, I know the cops are right around the corner going, "He's got the bag. Take the shot, take the shot." I get to my car, I open the trunk, I take the spare tire out, I put the pot in the wheel well, I put the spare tire on top of that, a dead body, some lime, and a tarp.
Go ahead and mix this up. Once you've got this mixed up, go ahead and start to add your balls and start to toss. I like to do about 4 at a time, that way you get a nice even coating on all of your cookies.
Everyone in the 90s. What started local to Los Angeles soon spread to an estimated 75% of the country and was so vastly supported that local, state, and federal governments gave the program somewhere between $200 million to $2 billion just in the year 2003, well after several studies proved it ineffective. Think about that. $2 billion to fund a program that fundamentally did not work. Only after several years' worth of research that could no longer be ignored and a detailed financial audit did the government stop hemorrhaging money into the program.
A distinction, I'd say, between like a prohibition category and a wisdom category. And so I don't think Scripture has like an explicit prohibition that says, hey, you just can't. You know, like maybe in the day when it was illegal in many states and, we want to obey the laws of the land. But now that that's gone, I don't think it falls into like an explicit biblical prohibition. And so I do think there's kind of biblical freedom at one level, that we don't want to set up a law or a rule that Scripture doesn't itself place. And yet I do think the question in my mind comes to kind of a category of wisdom. Is it, even if it's permissible to use it, is it wise to use it? And personally and pastorally, I would have some big reservations and would argue that I think it's not wise. Some of those would be, people often make the comparison to it being like alcohol. We see that there are appropriate uses of alcohol in Scripture and all, but I do think there's some important differences and distinctions. One of those would be, I think it's a lot harder to use weed to kind of toke up and not get the equivalent of what with alcohol would be intoxicated, right? It seems like it's a very low bar to reach that level of intoxication with weed. Likewise, I think, I don't know for every individual, but it does seem like kind of much of in our culture, the use of weed and marijuana is geared towards kind of disconnecting and disengaging from life and from people. You see in alcohol, even in Scripture, when it's used appropriately in moderation and all, that part of the goal is kind of community and celebration and themes of bringing people together to celebrate what God's done, to celebrate the life that He's given and all. And yet, in contrast to that, marijuana seems to have kind of an individualistic bent that pulls you away from people, pulls you within yourself, causes you to become more disengaged, not only from people, but also kind of from life in general. One of my best friends growing up began, smoking weed more in high school, and over the course of about 3 years, I saw him just fully disconnect and unplug from relationships and activities. And we used to surf together and write music together and go on adventures together and go outdoors, and gradually all those things started slipping away. And he just wanted to sit in his room all day and smoke out. And I'm not saying that that's everyone, but I do think there's kind of a trajectory in that kind of going inward direction that is a warning sign, kind of would suggest kind of an unwise use there. And finally, I do think even just practically, the use of marijuana being linked over time to mental health disorders and things of that nature. And I think we want to be of sound mind long-term, to be able, as much as we can, to be able to care for our families, our communities, our churches, our friends, and not do things that could jeopardize or militate against us being able to be present to love and to serve as Christ would have us in those ways.
Yeah, that's great. I also would put it in the category of wisdom. I could never, as a pastor, say to one of the members of my congregation, yeah, feel free to enjoy marijuana recreationally, just because I think I also feel like you really can't have sound mind when you're high. I think a lot of people give you this false idea that there's a functional high and it just kind of keys you out and you're okay. But I just I've never experienced that personally. And so, before I was a Christian, I smoked marijuana to, like you said, disengage from both people and issues. And so I would actually ask people in my congregation, what is the reason for the desire to unhinge from community and unhinge from reality, and then begin to ask the more deeper and significant questions, like, where does this desire come from? What are you experiencing in your life that is causing for you to want to escape? I mean, it's the same question you would ask somebody who consistently would be, intoxicated. What is it that you are running from? What is it that you are escaping? I think the challenge with marijuana is it's kind of like a one hit and done. And so you're immediately in that place of intoxication. So I also would put it in the category of wisdom. I mean, there's some unique challenges medicinally. Some people use it for medicinal purposes. And that I would really have to flesh that out with a member of my congregation. But in the category of recreational, I couldn't in good conscience tell them to partake in marijuana recreationally.
What's that billowing down the stairs? It's smoke!
It smells like the art teacher's office.
Smoke in the water!
Uh-oh.
Hey, Crisco, I get baked so much. I like to hotbox my tour bus. Puff puff give till it's 420. This stuff ain't cheap, I need more money. But when I buy that green, I got the best they got, cause I'm living la vida smoker.
You can remember that? Hey, Graham, did you know they just discovered Pluto?
Came to prevention, without realizing that such a direct approach may not work on young children. Current DARE president Frank Pegarios once said, everyone believed that if you just told students how harmful these substances and behaviors were, they'd stay away from them. Unfortunately, young kids weren't as receptive to the education as a prevention approach. School is boring. Learning is hard. Everybody just wants to go home, watch TV, and eat snacks, and not hear about lung cancer when you're 12 years old.
One of Granddaddy's pipes, I put the pot in it, and I stood up and I'm looking right in the mirror and I went, oh my God. I look like Ward Cleaver trying to get high right now. Which would have been a great episode. Ward puffing on that pipe. Hey, June! We named our kid Beaver! Okay, back to the basement.
All right, here we are. Time to pull the cookies out. Ooh. There we go. Beautiful snickerdoodle cookies.
Homer, you're doing drugs. And now I'm guilty of possession. I could go to prison. Unless I testify against you.
Marge, it's making my eyes better. And it's legal. I could walk up to the president and blow smoke in his stupid monkey face. And he'd just have to sit there grooving on it.
Well, I just don't feel comfortable with whatever's happening, you know.
I don't know. I've still got an open mind about it, but this definitely feels weird. I don't know how I feel about feeling weird.
Grant, would you smoke again?
Yeah, but I think more slower.
You fall asleep? You okay?
I'm okay. I just feel really relaxed.
In a good way?
Oh yeah, like I'm floating. I really got to do this more often.
Yeah.
Emma had it with all of these drugs and demanded the use of America just say no. First Lady Nancy went from school to school telling children to just say no to all of these drugs with a t-shirt. Once she'd absorbed enough child's fear to energize herself, Nancy would swing into the occasional rehab center to gather horrible tales of people. She then shared these horror stories with all of America, which in turn made the whole country say hell no to people who said hell yes to drugs.
Today, there's a drug and alcohol abuse epidemic in this country, and no one is safe from it.
And the plan worked. A boogeyman was created.
I'm in the basement going, and Gil goes, Bill! Where are you?
Hello?
Marge, I just realized I am the ow in the word now. And if you tell anyone...
Honey, I like it when you call, but we just talked 5 minutes ago. Hang on, I've got call waiting. Hello?
Hey, it's me. I got Marge in the other line, and she is totally bumming me out.
Real-life scenario that this same teen is offered a fistful of bud, the odds are pretty high they panic and say, okay, sure, and just take some of that devil's cabbage. Keeping It Real arms teens with more tools in their belt by approaching potential drug solicitations in more realistic terms. The core of the program is in the acronym, refuse, explain, avoid, and leave. Reel proposes at first offering an explanation for why they don't want to do something, or if possible, attempt to avoid the issue. I see Billy is offering meth to my classmates. I think I'll take a different route home and maybe avoid Billy for the day. And finally, if that doesn't work, they can leave. Oh right, I don't have to do meth. I have a body autonomy and I can just leave and go somewhere where there is no meth. The great thing about this program is it's applicable to so many other scenarios in these young kids' lives. The goal of keeping it real is to help kids get out of any situation that makes them uncomfortable, almost as if teenage drug use is a symptom of being a complicated, growing, changing person trying to fit into a society of insecure, relentlessly cruel teenagers and not the cause of all their problems. And you know the best thing about keeping it real? It actually works.
Be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all that. The only thing left to do is enjoy one of these cookies. Wow. Tastes so good. Just a little note, I am in a legal or a medical state. I'm licensed on how to do this. It's for education purposes only.
Dad, I thought you didn't like our saxophone.
I didn't, but now Daddy's special medicine, which you must never use because it will ruin your life, lets Daddy see and hear magical things you will never experience. Ever.
Dad, it's 1 a.m. and I'm out of saliva.
Shh, shh, shh.
Wow, that saxophone would make a great pipe.